call tonight's meeting to order. It is March 14th. March 14th. Boy. Wow. All right, let's try that over. Today is March 4th, 2020, 7 p.m. This is considered a regular meeting. I'll go ahead and have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have a seat. All right, on to tonight's agenda. Everybody had a chance to review the agenda?
Yep.
Comments, questions, queries?
No.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the
I
agenda.
have a motion to approve by Dan,
Second.
and a second by Troy. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then on to tonight's consent agenda. Comments, questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Pat to approve.
I second
I
that.
have a second by Jan. Further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. On to tonight's hot topic, the 2021 improvement project.
Hello. I've got the report that I brought along here tonight. It's basically the same stuff we talked about last week, organized into a report format. So I think the simplest way to go through it would be to flip right back towards the back end of the report till you get to the figures. And I can just page through the figures and talk about it as we go. So it'll be before all the big sheets with the numbers on them. There you go. The maps, basically. Yep. So as we discussed, the project is on Coleman Avenue from Brooks to about 150 feet east of Bell Street. It's on Brooks Street, Maple Street, and Bell Street from Stearns to Coleman, and on Rose Avenue from Brooks over to Bell. Flipping right over to the sanitary sewer improvements, the sewer system out there is all 8-inch clay pipe, except for the sewer main that runs north on Brooks Street is 10-inch clay pipe that was lined in 1988. We know there's areas out there where the sewer is shallow, there's freezing problems, there's long services in spots where there is no sewer main that runs in front of a property, and there's obvious infiltration problems that are visible when Public Works opens up manholes and when the system gets televised. There's evidence that infiltration is going on. So on the figure there, the black lines indicate the existing sewer mains, and the green lines show where the proposed sewer mains would be going in. So generally the whole sewer system drains northwest towards the Coleman and Brooks intersection. That's pretty deep there. It's about 18 feet deep, I believe, on Brooks Street. So with that depth, we're able to, the proposed improvements would include hooking onto that manhole at Coleman and Brooks, and then carrying some of that depth east into the project area where we know there's shallow sewer services that have a history of freezing, stuff like that. So we replace all the sewer mains in the project area, all the sewer services from the main to the right-of-way line, and of course all the manholes as well. Okay. The water system is mostly 4-inch cast iron pipe from the late 1960s. And again, the existing stuff is shown in kind of the thin black lines, and the proposed stuff is shown blue. There is a block of PVC pipe. The north block of Brook Street is PVC, so we would plan to leave that in place. And there are also several blocks where there is no water main today. For instance, Coleman, from Brooks over to Maple, and also the south block of Brook Street, there is no water main there either. So our proposed improvements would include extending water main through those blocks where there isn't any today, so we can eliminate some long services. The same thing goes for the south block of Brook Street. Adding that water main will improve the water service in the area just by increasing the looping that's going on in the water distribution system. Similar to the sanitary sewer, we'd replace the services from the new main to the right-of-way, new shut-off at the right-of-way. Replace all the hydrants, all the valves. And the new mains would be 8-inch PVC pipe. Questions so far? Okay. Figure number 4 shows the storm sewer. The existing lines, well, the streets are pretty bare because there isn't a whole lot of storm sewer out there today. There's a couple catch basins at the intersection of Brooks and Coleman, and a culvert there also that those flow north. And there's a couple sets of catch basins at the intersections of Brooks and Stearns, as well as Maple and Stearns. Those flow east under Stearns Avenue and dump out into the pond, kind of southeast from there. And there's also a culvert under Bell Street near the Rose Avenue intersection. Otherwise, there really isn't any storm sewer to speak of out there. Everything relies on either soaking into the ground or overland drainage to kind of discharge from the project area. And we know there's a handful of low spots out there where the drainage is just poor in general. You get ponding and kind of freezing areas when in snow melt kind of situations. So the proposed improvements would include extending storm sewer pretty much to every intersection in the project area, discharging it to the same discharge points that we have out there today, north to the Eden Creek, I believe, and east to the ditch that's east of the site. And finally, figure number 5 shows the street improvements. So as we talked last week, we have a few different right-of-way widths out there today. Brooks and Rose Avenue have 33 feet of right-of-way. So we're planning to put in a 20-foot wide street along those streets. And then the streets shown in red there, Maple, Bell, and Coleman, would be planned to be a 36-foot wide street.
I know we talked last time about the project here, about because some of the houses are might be real close to the right of way.
Right.
You guys take a look at that. Is there going to be any impact there?
We haven't yet. It would be difficult to evaluate that until we get some survey done.
Okay.
The best we could do right now is look at the lines from the county parcel map, and that's, that's not survey accurate type information. It's close, but I certainly wouldn't get excited just yet.
Okay.
If it appears, it can help identify areas where we want to take a closer look at it, just like you said. Yes.
All right.
And that's pretty much it for new improvements or proposed improvements planned under the project. Any questions about the scope? Okay, then I can flip back to the back end of the report on page 3. You should have a table about the middle of the page that says estimated costs. Okay, so, on that table, we're showing the total estimated project cost of over 2.5 million, 2,562,100 is our total estimated project cost. And we broke that out. Each row is one of the streets in the project area, and the columns to the right show the potential funding for each piece of the work. So, and the city has used PFA funding in the past, Clean Water Revolving Fund and Drinking Water Revolving Fund. So that's where we're looking again for funding for this project. So out of that 2.5 million, just over 1.1 would be eligible for clean water, and just over 1 million would be eligible for drinking water, leaving about 416,000 is not eligible for PFA funding. So, and that's essentially storm sewer, that kind of stuff. That's not eligible under those two funds. Similar to past projects, we would also plan to follow the city's special assessment policy. So the next page shows the preliminary assessment rates. City policy is that 40% of the street cost is assessed to the abutting property owners, and the preliminary assessment rate there is $52.27 per foot. Replacement curb, where a project would tear out the existing curb, put in new, that curb gets assessed at 40%. We have very little of that on this job. There's almost no curb out there. So that would apply maybe on the east end of Coleman, if we have to pull some of that curb out to rebuild the street to fit the rest of the neighborhood once we design those streets. And replacement curb, the preliminary assessment rate on that is $9.60 per foot. And the new curb, where we put curb in where there isn't any prior to the project, that is assessed 100% back to the abutting property owner, and that's at $24 a foot. Those are, the assessment rates are carried over into the preliminary assessment roll, which is at the back end of the report. And then finally, we have a proposed implementation schedule, where if we approve the report tonight, we would apply to PFA for funding under the Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Funds. We could conduct a public hearing in May, and then proceed into design after that public hearing, if the council chooses to proceed at that point. Which would lead us into bid opening in 2021 and construction in 2021. And that's, I guess that's a summary of it. If you would like to dig into it any further, I'm all ears.
This looks good.
Good. I got time.
And if they approve it tonight, the resolution,
Yes.
and we don't get selected for PFA funding,
Yeah, I can elaborate on that a little bit more.
Thank you.
Okay. In order to apply for Clean Water Revolving Fund funding, one of the pieces that needs to go in with that application is the report, along with a resolution adopting the report. And that deadline to apply for that funding is this Friday. It's every year, early March. So the council could approve the report tonight, hold the public hearing in May, and then wait until the intended use plan, the IUP, that comes out usually August, September, and then you will see whether or not the project is on within the fundable range in both of those funds, that's a common thing that happens with projects that are funded this way. So you're not obligated to proceed any further beyond that, if that makes sense.
And while they're waiting for that decision to come in, you can still move forward with plans, because the project just might not happen in 2021.
Right?
It might get pushed out to 2022 if we have some points in the PFA, but we don't.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do either or, honestly. We could proceed into design, so we could fast track it a little bit so it's ready to go maybe earlier in '21, or we could wait, like I was saying, and pick up the design and get started around that September timeline, once you see where you land in that fundable range. Either way, it's not, if we did the design and found out maybe you're not fundable in clean water, whatever, just to pick one, the design, then we could just take the plans and the specs and shelve them, basically, reapply the following year. See if we can acquire additional points by maybe tweaking the design and changing how the project gets ranked.
I think it's
I
cool.
think we should go with it.
Well, I guess the question on the table would be is do we wait until we find out if we're funded, or do we go ahead and have them work on the design and get the plans drawn up, knowing that we could potentially get pushed out to 2021?
You could wait to make that decision too until
Yeah,
the
Okay.
public hearing
Okay, we
even.
don't have to make that
Right,
decision tonight.
correct.
All we're doing is just passing the resolution so you can
You're
send
accepting the
it.
report
Yep.
tonight
Okay.
and setting the public hearing.
Yep.
All right. Any questions for Kent, or move to the next step here? All right. All right, then I'll put on the table Resolution 2020-06. This would be the resolution receiving feasibility report, calling for public hearing on improvements. Any comments, questions?
No.
All right, hearing none, then I will go ahead and make a resolution to approve Resolution 2020-06.
Second.
Wow. Flip a coin on
Give it to
that one.
Pat.
Yeah, give it to Pat. All right, I'll give Pat the second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And then forward. Oh, I was gonna say for the public hearing, okay, that's listed here, so we don't have to do that. We don't have to schedule that till May,
Right.
right? Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fine.
We'll do it at the main meeting. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, then moving on to boards and commission reports. We have one site permit for, scroll down to it here.
Should make them bright so you could read it. I'm sorry.
All right, looks like this is for the bank. Looks like it's to continue the renovation of the old Quick Stop building to add a drive-through.
Correct.
All right, any comments, questions?
It went before the planning commission, it met, it meets all of the setbacks and requirements with both the city and the state.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm assuming that they've talked to MnDOT about
Yes.
like the entrance and exits
Yep.
and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that being said, nobody's got any other questions?
Looks good.
And I will go ahead and make a motion to approve a application for site permit for 110 Meeker Avenue for the Farmers and Merchants Bank to construct their drive-through.
I'll second.
All right, I'm gonna give that one to Troy this time. Troy with the second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Well, we're kind of low energy here tonight. What's going on? All right, on to parks.
Hey, we had a park board meeting right prior to this city council meeting, and putting together a plan on how we're gonna finish up another section of the park. And some things that need to be finished up is landscaping, of course, putting in the playground equipment, a sidewalk of going to various places and things like that. We want to ask the council, Cindy, how much do we have that we could take on the park dedication?
We have about 145,000 in there, 100,000 being what you had allocated from the sale of the property, which leaves about 40,000 in there.
With the things that I just mentioned, and basically that would be finishing everything from the north side of the splash pad all the way out to the south to the driveway coming into the park. And then from the east fence over to the road going up to the football field, what makes a curve go up to the football field. That would run about 30,000 to do that.
And that's what, landscaping?
Landscaping,
Okay.
drilling the holes and setting the pipe for the playground equipment, and the material that's underneath the playground equipment. And then once we're putting the footers in too,
Yep.
snagging the pipe in
Yep.
for the playground equipment. A sidewalk from the building out to the playground, and doing a parking lot on the south side of the building. So that would run approximately 30,000. Was there any more to it, Zach, than that, or pretty much all of it?
That should cover it, yeah.
Yeah,
And that would complete phase one.
and complete phase one.
Complete the original phase one design? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'd like to do, with council's approval, or council has to act on it, take 30,000 out of the park dedication fund and put into this, get that much of the park finished up, phase one, basically.
All right. All right, then I will go ahead and put that on the table for discussion. Thoughts?
We do have some fundraisers planned. We just talked about, we're gonna do a raffle. I think we okayed that, correct? We gotta get a sponsor, but we're looking at getting a sponsor, one of the organizations, and then our hard opening, we're looking at July 11th of doing something for hard opening, do a fundraiser there. Maybe have some music, we're working on some stuff yet, so we're hoping to put some money back into there this summer. We got some other ideas with some benches, and Cindy talked about some benches, and, because people have asked to want to put their stuff on benches, so we got some ideas to put some of that back. And I think Arvig too is coming in the next couple of years, so.
Yeah. And then as far as like the fundraising that we did, or the letters that we sent out last year asking for donations, did we reach out to everybody? Or did we?
We sent residential letters, we didn't send out to the businesses, so we can do that. Certainly want to do that again, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I think
You know, it brought one mailing and it brought in, 8,300, so, and that's not a bad deal for one mailing, and it was, we put it together.
we send that letter out again, and we put in there when we're having a soft opening and where we're at today, kind of give everybody an update
Yep.
on where we're at.
Do we have a timeline on the completion, you know, the items that you've got listed there for the completion of phase one?
Of course, the landscaping and getting the dirt work and stuff can't start until frost goes away.
That'll all depend on how the spring goes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we don't have a spring like last year.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Our optimistic goal, of course, is to have everything done by
By the-
July 11th, so that everything is ready to go.
With all this stuff said, that's not erecting the playground. That we'll be looking for volunteer help to help erect the playground, the equipment, once we get the post cemented in the ground.
I got my toolkit ready. So
Yeah,
let me
good.
know.
We will.
As far as that DNR grant, I mean, is that, how are you gonna sit with that? I mean, it's a matching deal, so we still have 100 to play with.
Yeah.
So we're still sitting good with that if we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we want to keep that part of the.
Yeah, that was,
Definitely.
yep, that was my only question I had with that.
Any other questions on that?
Nope.
Then for the, on the table, would be, somebody make a motion for the,
How much was it for?
30,000.
Make a motion to move 30,000 out of the park dedication fund to wherever needs to go to get this one.
I have a motion by Pat,
I second that motion.
Jan will second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, and then, since you brought up the DNR grant stuff, have you guys looked at all of what phase two, started throwing some ideas for what phase two would look like?
We've talked a little bit about it, and we want to get this one finished up this year. Phase two definitely won't happen until next year. Or when we get, hopefully, part of the DNR grant, to get some more money.
Okay. All right, I just thought I'd, try to get a preview of what you guys are, what you guys are thinking.
Been talked about, part of phase two was some RV pads out there on the west side. There was a trail, I think a trail going west out of the park. And then I think eventually doing some work with the football field, the west side of the football field, the parking lot there. It's in phase two or maybe 2.5. So, but I think phase two, it was the RV pads, trail going to the west, things like that, so.
Okay.
That's been talked about.
All right. Anybody have anything else for, on the parks?
Will be, I think the building's available for graduations and stuff this year. The shelter itself's ready to go, so if they want to book anything, they can call City Hall. Right?
Absolutely.
I think you've been getting questions
We
on
have.
it already, yeah.
We've got a few, 5 weekends are booked.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very awesome. All right. Okay, then moving on to public forum. Don't have anybody in the gallery, so we'll go ahead and move on to tonight's paying of the bills. Nobody wants to do it. All right, I have a motion to pay the bills by Dan. I will go ahead and second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
All right, on to department readouts. Cindy?
I have 2 things, and as for low energy, yesterday was election day, so it was a long day. But we had 54 voters that came out, and for a city this size, actually, that's a lot. So, you know, get out and vote next time. First thing is Valley Days Parade. Rocky Riders is asking for council to sponsor their float entry for Valley Days, and that's $300, so I need approval for that.
All right. This is something that kind of we've done for quite a few years, so I don't see I'll put it on the table for discussion.
No problem.
All right.
Nope.
Then I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the $300 expense to pay to the Rocky Riders for the sponsorship for Valley Days this year.
Second.
Second by Troy. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Right.
And you also have the cash and investment balances. It's, this one is dated for January 31st. Between the audit and elections, I haven't found the end of February 1. But right now, we're sitting at about $2,901,000 between cash and investments. Looks good. Auditors are happy.
Got to keep the auditors happy.
Well, you know, they have an interesting perspective and they like to, you know, keep us going, so, good deal. That's it for right now.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Cindy?
I will say Darla's on vacation for the next whatever, or she's not here anyways, for the next 10 days, so, I have 2 meetings, so on occasion City Hall will be closed and I won't be answering the phones. Just an FYI, if you stop by to pay your water bill, it might be closed.
All right.
Is the remodeling done, and how is the remodel job?
In here, we're done until we get to this room, to finish this room. And they are working on the community center. Right now, they're working on the library's working on what kind of sign to put on. They're not gonna put back the original sign. That was white and blue, now that it's looking kind of snappy over there, so. Yeah, they're moving along, so we like that. Yeah,
It looks really nice. That's,
it does.
I noticed that they painted the girders and HVAC in there, so it's all one color now instead of bright orange and.
Red and yellow.
Ronald McDonald House.
Doesn't look like a McDonald's.
Ronald McDonald.
We are talking to different people, just because it echoes so bad in there, and talking on different options of, without spending, you know, 5,000 a panel to get soundproofing, so coming up with some different options to doing that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else for Cindy? All right. Then I'll go ahead and move on to Ernie.
Thank you.
That's for February, been pretty quiet, which is good. I'm okay with that, because it's gonna take off pretty shortly again. New squads is getting built this month, we should have it sometime in April. So, as soon as I hear anything on that, I'll let you know. I did have one question that I didn't budget, but I talked to the IT guy. Our laptop is 7 years old, and he said, you know, if you can find in your budget, he's recommend maybe replace it, if we can do it. He said with the new, some type of new hard drive now, and it's called, something else.
SSD,
Thanks.
NVMe.
So he said, which is about 10 times faster than when you got in there. But for the laptop and the mount, it's like, total's like $3,300 for both of them, for everything. So, something to think about.
This is, excuse me, your laptop for your squad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So,
That's built in a little heavier than a normal laptop, I would assume, for the price.
yeah, it's a tough one. CF, whatever the new one is, 54, or F, I think they're actually FX something now. I think they just went to a new one again. So, I didn't have in the budget, I didn't put in the budget, I planned on using the one I had because it works fine. He just said if you could find it, you might want to update with a new software and new Zerker, it's just gonna run a lot better, but I'm like, you know, I'm kinda old school, if it works, I'll use it. Or we're having issues with our internet air card, doesn't work in the old one with the new Windows 10. You know, they fixed that problem with some of the other stuff now, but in ours, it's just, doesn't work. So we use, Jetpack for internet access, so. I'll think about it, I just kinda throwing it out out there to you. I mean, I'll see where the money's at. I don't know, it didn't come through the bills yet, Cindy, on that other deal, right? So, there's some other things coming through, and I gotta see where I'm sitting for money-wise, and if he really pushed it, I'll let you know. Right now, I'm kinda holding to stay where I'm at, but he's really kinda pushing me to go the other way. Said 7 years, a long time on a laptop, especially in a squad car,
I'd recommend that you budget at least every 5.
Yeah.
so. And we got 7 out, which he said's really good, you know, I mean, so, I mean, we take care of our stuff, but he said it's probably time to rotate it out, so. I'll keep you posted, we got a little time yet. Squad's not coming, it won't be built till this month, and won't be until April, so probably got one more meeting, so if I really think it's something we need to do, I'll let you know, and I gotta try to find the money somewhere if we can. I gotta talk to Cindy and see where we're at when the other stuff comes in, so.
All right, yeah, work with Cindy, see if you can find it, let us know in April what you need.
So where we're at, that's all I got.
All right. Anybody got anything for Ernie? All right. One thing I was gonna bring up, Ernie, about the overnight parking on Main Street.
Yeah, we talked about that a while back.
Yeah.
I just had somebody talk to me about that last week again.
Yeah, it's still happening.
Okay.
Just thought I'd throw that.
And we talked about, because there's nothing, you know, I know what our ordinance says. I've been doing a little bit of research on it. As far as like Main Street, there's not a lot of reason to keep people off it. So that's something I think the council needs to talk about if we're gonna keep no overnight parking, because there's not a lot of business there anymore. It used to be the reason was you want to take up business parking with residential parking, but now a lot of it's apartments anyways, so, and that's why a lot of the owners say, well, why can't we park on the street? There's really nothing there, we're not hampering anything. You know, something the council needs to think about.
Yeah, it's something we can talk about, but the one thing that comes to mind right away is the trash. There's been times where there's been some overnight parking there, and it looks like they ain't cleaned out their car right there
Right.
on the curbside.
That's possible. I mean, I know, well, we don't even talk about some of that, but
That could happen.
that could happen
Before you
anywhere.
were not parking anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
true. Yeah, I know, but it just seems like that kind of goes hand in hand at times. So,
The biggest thing is the snow removal, and I think, you know, I mean, we don't do it, we don't have any overnight parking on the streets. I mean, I guess, you know, one horse ain't bigger than the other one. The biggest thing is the snow removal. When you got snow removal, I mean, if you got it, you gotta get a lot more stricter on it. Like the ones that got it, if your car's there, you get it towed instantly, done. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, you know, when the snow comes, you gotta plow the streets.
yeah.
And it's been pretty good this year. I mean, overall, we always get a couple here and there, but overall, it's pretty good. We drive around and try to make sure everything's off, and then, you know, just something to think about as a council. I mean, do you want to keep the overnight parking, or do you want to get rid of it? I mean, it's something that we really should talk about. Because Main Street, the reason we did the overnight parking the way we did it was for commercial businesses. And a lot of those aren't there anymore. So I think we need to reevaluate that, because we just had a place that turned into apartments again, and the guy that's there has nowhere to park. I mean, so that's a question too. It's like, there used to be a business there, so the apartments take off all the off-street parking. So this guy that bought it, he's parking on the street, and we haven't really did much with it because he really has nowhere to park. You know, and there's 2 apartments there now, and there wasn't on there before, that haven't been used in 25 years. So you probably know where I'm talking about. So it's hard to beat up that guy when he doesn't have a choice, you know, but it's hard to go on and write another ticket with somebody that does it when you're not doing it with that guy. So that's kind of what I'm getting squawked about. This guy was pretty upset a week ago that he got a ticket for overnight parking, so.
Should we throw that on for our workshop for this month?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
All right, throw that on the agenda for but thought I'd let you know.
Thank you.
All right. Then, nothing else, we'll go ahead and move on to Zach.
Mark and I are down at Minnesota Rural Water Conference in St. Cloud this week. Tomorrow's our last day. It's going well, learning a lot. Got to see a lot of vendors on Tuesday. So I got to meet with the guys that Jim was working with for over the past 25 years, so it's good to meet them face to face. And then we have April 1st, I got noxious weeds meeting in Greenwald. So it'll be the start to keeping up on your lawns.
That's right, my designated weed inspectors.
Yeah. So I've been told. That's all I got.
All right.
Well, I guess I know you haven't been involved in a lot of stuff, as far as like the Dollar General, but was there any clarification on the water issue that we have over there? Has that been resolved, or,
As far as the water backing up.
Yeah. with the homeowner complaints and stuff that we had last year? And we were gonna look into it, and that kinda got tabled and never,
It didn't get tabled, it went all the way to Dollar General corporate.
and then, I mean, is that where it's
That's what it
at?
is, it's
Yeah.
their issue, and I've talked to the homeowners, and, you know, they're gonna have to address it with the landowner of.
Well, I just know we're
Yeah.
coming in that time of year where you know it's gonna be coming, and then we got the part, you know,
Yeah,
if you
we're watching the
wanna,
level of it, and
it was just something I was thinking about. I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus on that, it was something I was thinking about, because driving around today, I seen a lot of things are opening up.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of water flowing, and before, you know, if the, you know, homeowners come in, or, you know,
my understanding, there's a new landowner. You know, there's Dollar General, the business, and then I believe that the land has now been sold, so,
Yeah, the land in the building.
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, so,
No, this is the question I had.
absolutely, we keep following them.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully, it doesn't have, we don't have a spring like last year.
Well, no, I was just, because I know how fired up the homeowners were, and rightfully so, and that's why I was just asking, and
The Dollar General and the state, where the state ditch is not shaped right. The way it looked to me, anyhow.
Right.
Yeah, that's where the,
Gray areas.
well, not necessarily a gray area, but I don't know if there were, they were squabbling amongst themselves, the state and, well, was it BJ Bass, the architects and builders for the project? You know, they said they built it to the approved spec, and, well, it wasn't MnDOT, it was actually the county. The county signed off on it, on their plans. Well, they were squabbling back and forth on that, and then I think you just finally just went straight to corporate.
And they sent out an engineer, he was from Florida, he came up and walked it and did whatever he did, and then left, and so then I called them and emailed the two that I knew at the time, and the name has escaped me, but, emailed them, said, how's it going? I understand he was up here, looked at it, and, you know, and they responded with an email that said it's with our engineers. And that was it, that was the sentence for the period, and so,
So
there we are.
we're moving at the speed of
Yes.
corporate.
And the reality is, if it, you know, it's going to be, it's their land, and you know, and then there's the homeowners who are having issues with it, and so the two homeowners that stop in and chat with me, keep giving them the same thing. It's like calling for a light out, you know, if we both do it, maybe they'll come and fix the light. Well, keep calling them, keep putting that pressure on to say something has to happen shy of, I don't know what, so. That, it's not a satisfactory answer, but it's what I got.
yeah. Well, no, I was just wondering, because, you know, like, obviously it worked before, and now we're having this issue.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I just don't want, you know, our residents to pay the price for that, but, you know, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Everybody in this room agrees.
Oh, I know, it was something like I was thinking, and I didn't hear a lot on the backside, so
Yep.
that's why I just brought it up, so, thank you.
Yes.
No problem. Okay, all right, then we'll move, well, anybody got anything else for Zach?
Nope.
All right, thank you, Zach. And then we'll go on to other. Anybody on council have anything? Nope. I did have an opportunity to go to the, they don't call it the Elected Leaders Conference anymore. It's the something institute now. Very good, pretty much 24-hour conference. some of the speakers that they had there is one, basically around like decision making, ethical decision making, how to make decisions in sometimes contentious situations.
And you look at me.
Here's my favorite. Here's my favorite person. No,
That would be me directed towards this guy.
So it was really good. We did get a legislative update. Some of the things that's being talked about on out in St. Paul right now is, matter of fact, I think one of those bills is might get moved out. Is the bill talking around about what kind of fees and fee schedules you could set for new developments. The league has come out very strongly against that, taking local control away from cities and townships and putting that into the state's hands on them having the ability to, they would take over setting how much you can charge for fees for new developments, like, Whackensack, they had like park, some towns do park dedication fees, some do other site permits and building permits and fees and stuff. The
Inspection fees and all that stuff.
inspection fees and all that stuff, so. So there'll be more to come on that, but the league has come out strongly against that, and we'll see how that goes. The other bill that's out there too was basically pertaining around the primary that we had, and what to do with the information that was collected during the primary. Since this year was the first time you had to declare your party, and that information does get transmitted to the state party party leaders for both Republican and Democrat. So they're looking to tighten the controls up on that, on who can actually see that information, and how that information gets basically stored from here on out. So they didn't have a fix in for this time around, but they're working on it. So there was a couple other things as it pertains to like the big cities area, Twin Cities. We did talk about the surplus a little bit. So they're having a larger than anticipated surplus. So the going consensus that the league has right now that won't change. We won't see a decrease in LGA funding. They are starting to grease the skids a little bit to try to see if they can get a little bit of, since we got the surplus, if we can get an additional bump in LGA funding. So that's what I got. All right, anything else? Okay, and then moving on to upcoming meetings, we have a council workshop at on March 18th at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. There is a joint water board meeting on March 26th at 4 p.m. at the Civic Center. And then in April, we'll have our board review for property taxes on April 4th, 2000.
8th, sorry.
Oh, that's
April
8th?
8th. I know, the 4th is a Saturday.
Well.
We could, but
No, all right, April 8th at 7 p.m. will be for Stearns County, 7:30 will be for Meeker County. And then at that same meeting, we will also have our audit report from our audit that Cindy just completed during the council meeting.
So is council supposed to go to that joint water board meeting then? Or that's just a
No,
meeting?
It's just,
Troy.
Troy does.
You're so lucky.
No, it's just like anything
Okay.
else, it's gotta be published and announced and. All right, with that being said, if we got nothing else, we'll go ahead and, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Happy the second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.